Hi everyone, it's Stacy from Peony Lane Designs. Today I'm going to recover this seat, but I'm not going to show my face because I'm not fit for public consumption. And if you think I'm kidding, here's a quick shot. Told you. So, first thing you want to do is you're going to want to get this old fabric off. As you can see, it is just stapled on the back of here. And it looks like this has been done once before. This might be a later upholstery job. But all you need to do is get a flathead screwdriver, and you'll want to get a pliers. I like needle nose pliers because it helps me get underneath those staples real easy. It just looks like that. And there's no trick to this except finding sort of a loose edge. Take the pliers and you pull the fabric back. That can help sometimes to pull it away. Then get under the staple and just start wedging it out of there. Be careful for your fingers. I have cut myself many times and gouged myself doing this process. So since this is a quick and easy, simple project, I don't think you need too many special tools or skills, and you certainly don't need special gloves. But if you're afraid of hurting your hands, then a pair of leather gloves won't hurt. Just grab the needle nose plier though and wedge that out. So just keep prying and pulling until you get the staple out. Prying up and then pulling out. And there it goes. And that's all there is to it. And you just follow that process all the way around. And once that's done, make sure you wrap up all those staples so that you don't have any laying in the carpet. And then take a look at what you've got. So this piece of foam has this dark coloring on it. And at first I was worried that I needed to replace the foam, but as I kind of rubbed it, you can see that this was glued down on all sides. And I think what they did was, because there was a cut in the foam, that they glued down the fabric to the top so that it wouldn't slide. That's a really unnecessary step if you're pulling your fabric tight enough. But I did the smell test just to be sure, and it didn't stink, so it's more than likely glue. It's just a little hard in those places, but I don't think you'll feel it through the fabric. When I push on it, it's still pliable, so we're just gonna pick the fabric, which for me, this is the hardest part. The top for this is the fractal burned piece of wood, and this particular fabric with the flowers, I really like it, but I think it might compete with that. And then I have the burlap, which is a little plain. So either this, which I don't know, it might be a little busy, or this. This is my hardest part of my job, is colors and fabric, picking the right one. This one has a softer texture that I like. And I think, I think this is going to be too thin. It's a little see-through, and I don't really like that part of it. I think then I'm going to have to put a liner behind it. So as you can see, if you pull it apart, it's too thin. The holes are too wide. So I think I'm going to go with this. I like the texture of it. I like the color. I am a little worried about the pattern, but I'm just going to have to see how it goes. We can always pull it off later. But lay the fabric out. You're going to want to put your cushion right up to the edge and leave yourself enough room to run a line of staples around. So what I do is I set it, and then I just pull the fabric over. I pull the fabric over and kind of see how much I need to run a line of staples across there, all the way around. So you can kind of get it centered on the fabric before you cut it. Just sort of dry fit it and figure out how much space you actually need. You don't want it too close to the edge because you won't be able to staple. You want about a good inch drape over the back side of it. So pull the edges so that you can sort of see where that is. And then you're going to want a good pair of scissors, nice and sharp, to cut that fabric. And then you're just going to have the courage of your convictions and cut it, because once it's cut, there's no going back. So just pull it out straight and start cutting. Wish my arms were longer so I could get right to the edge, but I'm gonna have to pull it close there. And there it goes. And then just fold this up and save that for another project. It's a really pretty fabric and the texture is amazingly soft. It looks nubbly, but it's actually very, very soft. So we'll set that aside. And then we're gonna cut the excess off the other side. So longitude and latitude, we're gonna have to cut both areas. So you see I've got enough to cover both sides, and I want to make sure I have enough top and bottom before I cut the second cut. That's plenty up there. That's actually way more than enough. Push that up and fold it. I'll just spin it to make it easier to cut, and then you can kind of see where, you know, how much room you need, so you can kind of just get in there and start cutting the fabric. And I'm going to save this piece too, because it is still big enough to do maybe a footstool or some smaller project, so I'm going to set that aside too. Now, what we've got is our piece of fabric, and we're going to get this centered on here. Sort of pull the edges around, make sure everything's where we need it to be. And this is where it gets putsy, because you want to make sure that you have enough on the edges when you pull it tight, but you also want to make sure that your pattern is in the right place. And this isn't heavily patterned, but I'm going to flip it over anyway and just take a peek at it to see if I like where the flowers, these sort of, I don't know what these are. They look like flowers, but if they're laying in the right place. And then just sit back and take a look and make sure that those are falling where you want them to be. And again, I'm going to, you know, I think it looks good. I think it's gonna be good, but I think the pattern is just slightly off. I think I'm gonna have to, yeah, I'm gonna have to pull this off. So I'm gonna fit it from the top. So I'm gonna take this off. I know I have plenty of fabric, but I didn't like where the flowers were falling, and it was upside down. So because this is going on a gossip bench and the front and back are very clear as to which is front and back, I want my flowers to be going up and not down. So I had to refit that on, and it's time to staple. To start, you just put a staple in the center of all four sides. So one there, and then we'll go directly across from that, pull it tight. One there, and then we're going to spin it. We're going to put one on this side, right in the center, and then we're going to go directly across from that one and put it in the center of the other side. So pull it tight. You want to make sure it's good and tight, and right in the center. And then you just sort of flip it over and make sure everything looks good. And I think it does. I think the flowers are laying right now. They're growing up and not down. And then you just work your way out from the center staple. So that's always the way I do it, is pull it tight. And then I just start working my way to the edges from that center staple. Then on the other side, make sure you pull it good and tight, and just do that all the way around until you get to the corners. Now the corners on this one were a little different because they're inverted. So for corners, it is pull, tuck, and staple. It's like wrapping a present. So you're going to want to pull those edges, tuck it, make a nice pleat, and then staple. And then you're going to go to the other side, and I work from the edges in on a corner, which sounds weird, but when you start doing it, you'll understand it. So pull, tuck, and staple. Then you want to pull over that staple that you just did, lay it down, staple again, until you get a nice tight corner. See that inverted? It's just a little different, and you do that for all 4 corners until they're nice and tight. And when it's done, all the fabric pieces are nice and tight, and then you just need to trim off the excess fabric. There is a lot on this one because I always err on the side of caution. You can always cut off fabric, but you can't add fabric. So I always have way more than enough fabric. And as you can see from the top, I think it turned out really beautiful. It's nice and tight. It's not wrinkly at all. And that's what you want. You don't want it to be wrinkly. And the edges are nice and secure and tight. But let's get that excess fabric off the back. As you can see, it's sticking out. We don't want that. And it's going to make it hard to screw the seat back on. So you just cut away the excess, and at this point you will probably find places, at least I always do, where the staples are not fully secure, or I've got a gap where I need more staples. I keep cutting the fabric off, and then I'll go back when I'm done and I'll just re-secure those spots. And now that it's all off, here are the spots that I'm talking about where I need to make sure that that gets stapled down again. I just go in and secure that, and then I'm going to do the same thing all the way around the seat. I'm just going to make sure that there are no large gaps and that all the corners are secure. I would hate to be the person who reupholsters this after me, because there's going to be a butt ton of staples in this thing. And there we go. Just make sure they're all in. And then there's some gaps here, so I want to make sure just to cover those up so it doesn't get loose at any point while somebody sits on it. Because this isn't just for show, somebody's going to be sitting on this. You want to make sure that the staples don't pull out or the fabric doesn't pull off because it's loose. So we're just going to do that all the way around. And when you're done, it turns out really nice, and I can't wait to show you guys the full project in my next video. So make sure you get subscribed so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching, everyone. Happy junkin'! Visit my blog, peonylanedesigns.com, for more tips, tricks, and inspiration. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon so you'll be notified of new videos. I post every week DIY tutorials and, of course, more junkin videos.